Hello, welcome to the Agency Download Podcast. Today we have the honor of hosting Michele Tonkovitz, a marketing leader, creative strategist, and owner of Green Onion Creative. Michele is the 2025 Milwaukee Biz Times Notable Entrepreneur and has served as president of the American Marketing Association Milwaukee chapter since 2021. We're so honored to have you on today. Thank you for joining us.
James, thank you. I am really honored and humbled to be on the show and be able to share my story.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, we just love talking to marketing experts in advertising and leaders in the space. And you obviously have an amazing background and an amazing story. So we'd really love to just start off right there with kind of how you got into marketing and advertising and what keeps you going today.
I have known that this was the path that I wanted to go down ever since I was a small child. When I was 8 years old, my auntie, who was a media buyer here in the Milwaukee market, she would get us free tickets all the time to the hockey games at Disney on Ice. We'd go to the water parks. She got to go to parties during the 80s and she met Jay Leno and Mr. T. And as a child of the 80s, I thought that was the coolest thing in the entire world. So I was like, wait a minute, Auntie Mary, you get to go do free stuff. You get to meet celebrities and like we get to go to all these cool places. This is your job. You get paid to do this. Well, I want to do that when I grow up. So I was a kid who really at a very young age knew that I had creative talents in the writing realm. And so I really just focused my entire high school and college career on advertising and marketing.
Awesome. And so how did you get into getting starting Green Onion Creative? Like, did you partner with somebody? Did it kind of get started organically? How did you get into starting the business and getting going?
Yeah, the onion grew organically. So throughout my career, I worked for advertising and marketing firms. And then I also had opportunities to work in house. The last place I worked was an agency. And I had been out of the agency world for, maybe about 4 years at that time. And when I got back into the agency life, it just wasn't a good fit. And so that agency and I parted ways, and I literally sat at my kitchen table at the age of 34 years old. So that was 12 years ago. And I said, what am I going to be when I grow up? And my auntie, who was the media buyer, when she was about my age, I would say in her 30s or 40s, she pivoted her career and she went into nursing. And I thought, geez, do I do what Auntie Mary did and become a nurse? And then I thought, I absolutely hate blood.
Yeah,
No, I'm not doing that.
ditto.
So then, you know, colleagues of mine throughout my career, former employers of mine, and other people who just heard about me word of mouth through the American Marketing Association, they started calling, texting, emailing, hey, can you help us out with creating a flyer? Well, you just can't have a flyer. A flyer has to be attached to something, a product, a service, an event. So then it was, well, do you need a landing page? Do you need emails? Do you need social media? Do you need PR? I would take that one flyer project for $250 and turn it into an entire campaign. So some of the people were like, we really like the way you think about this. We want to give you more work. You have to become official. Like you have to be able like fill out this employer or this contractor paperwork. Um, so that's really how the onion started. Green Onion grew organically through word of mouth referrals and people who worked with me in the past who knew the quality of my work and wanted more of it.
Awesome. I think that's the best way. When people trust you and you have relationships with people, that's what creates all the opportunities. And it's amazing how, like, in that moment when you're sitting there, you didn't know where you were going to go, what was going to happen. You knew you didn't like where you were at and there needed to be a change. Nursing wasn't going to be an option, but you had the faith to just kind of stick it out. And then the right opportunities, the right doors opened up. People came to you, which I think is always the right signal that you're onto something, is when people are coming to you and ask you something. You're not trying to, uh, you know, force a door to open that's not opening, but you're walking through a door that is already opened for you. Could you kind of speak more to that? Like, what were those early relationships like? How did you form those? Like for other people that are kind of starting out and are trying to figure out where to go, how do you know the right relationships to kind of foster and build? And what were you thinking about at that time? Like, did you have this vision of building this agency you have today? back then, or was it, let me just survive and continue to grow where I'm at?
That's a great question, and it definitely started in survival mode, right? So when I started Green Onion Creative, again, it was just me, and you know the phrase "jack of all trades, master of none." I
Yeah.
didn't want to write checks that my ass couldn't cash, right? So I had to be very honest and true and authentic about myself and what I could do for the people who wanted to work with me. I'm a copywriter by nature. I tell stories. I make relationships with the media. I make relationships with between our clients and their consumers and their customers, right? So I'm in the relationship building business through the word through words. And for others who are out there, you have to really figure out where your area of expertise is. Like I said, for me, it's writing. I am not a graphic designer. I can tell you when I like something and I can tell you when I don't like something, but I can't tell you how to get into InDesign and make it happen. No, just like most people can't tell me how to use a semicolon appropriately, but I can, right? So all this stuff with AI that's happening today, I can sniff out AI written content in a heartbeat because I started my career as a professional proofreader. I know the AP style book, back and forth, up, down, left and right, all the ways. So think about what you're really good at and focus on that area. It really was all very organic. 95% of the work that we do still today comes through word of mouth referrals. It's either people who have known me through getting involved with the marketing association. So my encouragement to everybody out there is don't be afraid. Spend the money, get a membership, be a part of an organization that's in your niche or that's in the target audience that you want to attract, right? That's how you're going to build your personal credibility and authority. That's so important. So I love being a part of the American Marketing Association. I'm now a part of the Metro Builders Association of Milwaukee. We do not build houses. We do not remodel bathrooms. But a contact of mine said, Michelle, you should get involved because there isn't a strong marketing presence at the table to help these companies give them the guidance and insight on what they should be doing from a marketing perspective. I went to my first meeting before Thanksgiving, and I'm really excited to go to another one in 2 weeks. I mean, that's a really great group of people that I never would have gotten exposed to unless somebody encouraged me to put myself out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Those so you never know what doors are gonna open up, what people you're gonna meet, and that if you look back on the industry, what I didn't realize when I was starting out is that everything is built all off of the relationships, and the more relationships you can build and foster and never burn bridges, that creates so much opportunity further down the road when you weren't even expecting it to come back around. So and those start with joining networking events, joining associations, meeting with people, and just building trust and relationship with everyone that you come across. So after you've gone through networking relationships, what is the actual, you have an amazing agency just from our first conversation. Like you have amazing crew, you've built a really good culture. And what we always talk about is the culture, the atmosphere starts from the top, how the top sets the tone, the culture, the expectation that gets fostered throughout all. So, could you speak a little bit about your agency? What are you guys doing differently? How have you built such a good, outstanding culture?
Well, I have said that Green Onion Creative is built around the good bosses I had and the bad bosses I had because I took lessons from each of those groups of people to really formulate my leadership style today. I absolutely do not want to micromanage. I don't want my hands in every pie. I believe our purpose as a business and me personally is to empower, encourage, and energize the people around me, right? Because if I let you feel empowered, whether you're my employee, a subcontractor, a client of ours, right? When you have that sense of empowerment, you have that sense of ownership in the work that you're doing, right? There's that pride that comes with it. Encouragement. I want everybody to bring ideas to the table. There is no wrong idea. We may have differences of opinions, but let's talk it through, right? Because those conversations is really what sparks the beauty and the output that can indeed become successful. And I want everybody to feel energized at all points throughout the day on all the projects. Yeah, some projects suck. And you're like, when is this going to be done? but it's just a moment in time. 95% of the work that you should be doing should be giving that fire inside of you, whether it's you're the client and you're seeing the campaign and you're like, yes, that's the vision I had that became the reality that I see today, right? Whether it's my employees and our contractors who, I encourage them to continue their education, bring fresh ideas to the table. We can continue to build and elaborate on them. And I want to be excited about what I'm doing. And I am every single day. People talk to me, they're like, oh, someday when you retire. And I was like, whoa, I'm not retiring because like I hit a certain age or I hit a certain bank account. I love this. As long as my brain works, I can work forever.
Yep.
So really, that's how the culture is that we have at Green Onion. We value those, bits and pieces of our purpose. We value honesty and transparency. Our billing structure is different from a lot of other agencies because we bill in 6-minute increments versus
Mm.
15 minutes. Because if it only takes you 6 minutes to respond to an email, why would I bill you 15? We just ate up your budget. And then when we go over budget, like, we don't wanna have that problem. We have a lot of transparency in the ways that we work, and what really makes us different is you're never gonna get another Michelle. You're never gonna get another Claire. You're never gonna get another Emery and Chloe and Megan and Eric and Angela who are on the team, right? They're all unique individuals, and every single day we show up as professionals, but first and foremost, we are people, and that's what makes us different.
Yeah. That's what creates the connections and relationships. Like nobody wants to work with a robot. People want to work with people that they like working with. And I think that's a big part of like any RFP process is that when you're going through an RFP process, the client has to sit across and be like, is this somebody that I want to work with? Also, the agency needs to sit across and be like, is this a project I really want to take on? The type of people, the people and the project and the brand that I want to work with as well. So I think it's two way. That's really important. Where do you guys currently going with AI is obviously a huge topic, but how are you guys using it? Where do you think it does good? Obviously, live in the paid media space, and AI is a huge part of it because all the algorithms are all built off of AI. But we talk about a lot is what is humans' strengths and capabilities versus the machine capabilities, and we want to use those together. Could you speak a little bit to kind of what you guys are currently working on, what your specialty is, and maybe how AI has kind of been influencing or improving or helping with what your guys' kind of core services are?
So I remember it was about 3 years ago when ChatGPT first really came to the surface, and Claire, who is our public relations, social media, and SEO, one of our specialists, she was like, "Are we gonna lose our jobs to AI?" I said, "Absolutely not, because here's the thing. AI is only as good as what it's programmed to do. You still need a person to be able to drive it. And as much as we use it, I think it's a great idea primer. It does save us a lot of time in the sense of the efficiency. If it can take these random thoughts that I have and I can say, simplify this for clarity, use bullet points, don't use emojis, do not use bold, follow AP style because I know when you don't, right? Right. So when it can streamline processes and procedures exponentially. But if anybody out there is just taking what AI spews at them and dropping it into Instagram as your social media post, you're not doing justice to yourself and your brand and your audience, right? So every social media platform has a different purpose. There are great tools built into all the platforms. We use AI for public relations platform, right? It's great. We write the press release, we dump it in there. It tells us the different keywords that reporters and bloggers, right, those influencers are looking for. The AI is helping us identify additional media sources that we hadn't thought of, but we don't rely solely on it. There is a huge level of human input because we have to make sure that the brand, right, the tone of voice, all that is truly coming through. And I know you can upgrade your account and you can build all these things in there, but it doesn't replace the need of Claire and Emery and Chloe and Megan and Michelle and, all of us. It has to have a human element because we need to connect with humans. We're not just selling our stuff to other robots out there.
That's a great point, is that you need that human connection and relatability that is not going to fully get through with the feedback, the response you get from the chatbots. what I really look at it as is just allows us to do everything faster and more and at greater speeds and more efficient and all of that. Because I think a big challenge for a lot of agencies right now and marketers and brands is that there's so much media fragmentation. There's so many platforms. There's so much attention seeking, and that everybody's competing for consumers' attention and individual in their ideal customers' attention. You're competing against not only your competitors, you're competing against a wide variety of different ways that somebody can be pulled into of, the next platform, video, content. And I look at it as like, how can we just get it to do more, but still have be on brand, still tell the story, still have that human connection without just copy and pasting whatever blurb that you get back out of it. Because oftentimes those blurbs, they seem good on the surface, but when you really read through them, there's something missing there. There's something missing that doesn't resonate with people, I think. And I think we're gonna continue to see that, and people have a lot of expectations that it's gonna continue to improve. I don't think that it's going to completely replace the human intuition that I never think it's going to.
I agree with that, and tomorrow, my team and we are actually all signed up for a 2-hour AI webinar, right? So we can learn about ways to work more efficiently. We work with a variety of clients, from the mom and pop small business shop that owns a security company here in town to international manufacturers. We're looking to use AI to not only streamline our processes and right and speed things up so we can service more clients, but there are some clients that we have, people who might be listening to the podcast today, that have to wear a lot of hats. Maybe you're a marketing department of one. Maybe you're a small business owner and you have to wear the marketing hat. And guess what? All you are really good at doing is like fixing the faucet. What the heck do you know about marketing? Right. But if we can figure out which tools are the best tools to use, not only for Green Onion Creative, but also make those recommendations to our clients or use those tools on our clients' behalf, it just makes us a stronger partner, right? It's all about that relationship, know, like, and trust, right? So we need to know the tools, like the tools, and trust the tools so that our customers and our clients and consumers, right, can know, like, and trust us as a provider to them.
Yep, absolutely. Is there any other big shifts or changes or challenges that you've seen in the marketing industry over the last couple of years? Besides AI is obviously the biggest one, but anything else that you think is kind of a big challenge for brands or internally for advertising agencies?
I think one of the misperceptions that has been around for a very, very long time is the cost of having video and the cost of doing digital ads, the cost of having commercials on the streaming platforms. We Green Onion Creative, we're not a video firm, right? We do run social media ad campaigns for our clients, but we also have a really strong vendor partner in Spectrum Reach, which is the advertising arm of Spectrum. Depending on where you're listening to, it's also Charter Communications, right? And we've been working with them for almost a decade now on a variety of client campaigns where you can literally have your search campaigns, your display campaigns appear on Google Bing and Yahoo for really reasonable monthly budgets. And they have the AI tools that can put together a commercial for you that's 15 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe a minute long, depending on what you need. And it's not these outrageous budgets, right? So this is again where AI and being able to constantly discover which are the keywords that are relevant right now, getting those campaigns out there, keeping them fresh and refreshed, and then having the dashboards that tell you in real time what the performance is so that spend can go up and down accordingly, to be mindful of your budget. I just want people out there to know that you, yes, can indeed have your square ad appear on CNN or USA Today or ESPN, and it's not going to like drain your bank account. So if anybody has any questions about that, at the end we'll share my contact information and you can get in touch with me. But don't be afraid to get your message out on the bigger platforms. The AI does help make it more manageable and reasonable from a budget perspective.
Yeah, I think the video creating the video content has always been the challenge. It's always been very high production costs, but all of the advancements in how fast better video editing is because of these platforms are so much smarter and faster at doing it. If you just have the good initial relevant video content for your brand, it performs very well. And then you can publish it across so many different platforms. But you're absolutely right. That's really what we spend a lot of time on is that you can run campaigns and get across all the major streaming TV apps and inventory now at really low budgets, like $25 a day, $50 a day, because the platforms and inventory is so much more open up. Versus before, linear and cable you would have to have much bigger budgets to get play there, to get access to that inventory. And so local advertisers now can run at low budgets and be seen across every major device. So you can be on the biggest screen in the household, the TV, because streaming TV apps have opened up the inventory where anybody can get play in those environments. And then obviously Meta, Google, YouTube, so it's really evened out the playing field. That's what I love. I don't think enough people talk about is that technology advancements really level the playing field out. Whereas before, maybe only bigger brands that had bigger budgets would be able to play in the TV market. Now smaller brands can do it. I kind of relate it almost like Uber. Like if you think about what Uber did, is they took like you know, only the wealthy elite would have private drivers. Uber made it so that everybody could have a private driver for a small fraction of the budget where you only had to pay based off of use. And essentially the same thing is happening now with the TV market where anybody can play in the TV market and get access to TV ads and be seen across major networks and get very large reach for low cost because the inventory's opened up and the technology has advanced to where anybody can access it. It's really amazing. That's why I think like those improvements changes everything for brands, marketers, especially it makes it easier for smaller brands and marketers to take advantage. Where do you kind of see that going? Like media fragmentation is a big challenge, I think, for a lot of brands. When you guys create content, are you guys focusing content on one channel based off of audience, or how do you guys look at where you guys create content, the creative, all of those concepts?
So, Green Onion Creative, we have core services that are in content writing and making sure that that content is optimized, whether it's for SEO, right, for the various social media platforms, because social media is another one of our core services, public relations and media relations, again, core services of ours, in addition to graphic design and website. So, when we're working with a client, some of our clients want the full service marketing, right? So we're doing the content for the website, we're building the website, making sure that all the words there are optimized and using all the keywords in the right places, that the social media posts are aligning back to the website to drive traffic, right? So we're going to try to encourage those conversions. We're building your authority, your credibility, your reputation by pushing out messages to the public about what you're doing for them, whether it is getting your events on community calendars so people can engage with you more, be aware of what you're offering. And also that relationship building with the media, because we want you to be seen as the authority. When there is a hot topic and you're the area expert in Milwaukee, I want the reporters to pick up the phone and call Claire and say, Claire, we need to talk to Chef because Christmas is coming. And what do you do if your holiday ham got eaten by the dog? I don't know. We're really focusing on those core services. We make the recommendations based on what the clients want to do. So not every client wants all of those core services that we offer. And so we take a look at what they can afford from a budget standpoint. And we're really honest, like I said, with the transparency and how we do our billing. And I tell them all, put together your wish list, right? Like it is Christmas and what is every single thing you want and give it to me. And then based upon your budget, we're going to look and we'll say, we can do these things. We can't do these things now, right? No doesn't mean no, it just means not right now. And so we often work with our clients in phases and stages because if you just say, give us a big number, give us everything. Well, yeah, that's like if you go to the buffet, you can't eat everything. It's overwhelming. You can't do it. So we really like to be very, again, open and honest and transparent in those conversations of What are you going to do? Where can we use AI to help streamline? There's nothing wrong with repurposing content, repurposing social media posts. Maybe you just give it a little fresh, zesty feel to it. Don't be afraid to reuse. I worked for Reader's Digest for years. I loved that job. So many of those recipes that we worked on, right, in the promotions for the cookbooks, they're repurposed over and over and over again. It's just whatever little flavor and flair. So people who are out there listening to this, don't be afraid to reuse or restate your message. Just there's different ways, and AIs can help you like be able to do that. We're doing it with ourselves. 2025 has been a year of refreshing our brand. The core messages, the look, everything is there. It's just got a new little fresh feel to it.
Yeah. I think you always need to restate. I think brands like you have that repetition and the consistent messaging and reinforcing it over and over again. And people really have a short attention span. Like a big topic that comes up a lot is like frequency, especially like when we buy a lot of ads and run large ad campaigns is, are we messaging the consumer audience too much with this message? But when you think about it, on average, consumers are seeing 3,000, 5,000 different marketing messages a day. People are bombarded. So to think that your messaging of reposting something is going to be caught of being like, you already posted this, or you've already said this, or we've been exposed to this ad too many times, people do not even think about that. It goes right over their heads because they're bombarded with a lot of content, a lot of information all the time. And really all consumers are really tuned into WIFM, which is what's in it for me. So as long as you're speaking in a way of conveying the benefit for the consumer and reinforcing your brand message, then I don't think you can talk about it enough. There's just it's kind of never ending. Unfortunately, that is kind of the space we're in now because of so many platforms and there's so much attention grabbing from everybody is trying to pull people to watch their content, watch their ads, stay on their platforms, all of that. So it makes it very challenging, but I think brands probably overthink the posting or saying the same message over and over again. It's like you have to say it enough until people really remember it.
So I want to touch on this messaging component, because this is a conversation that I just had with one of my employees yesterday. It's a conversation that one of our clients had to have with his sales team, because when we're talking about the messaging, right, it is so important to have your message clear and concise, consistent, right? But as much as that's your message, it also has to resonate with your target audience. And so the example is, we're refreshing some of the content on the Green Onion Creative website. And I'm a copywriter by nature. So there's a sentence that I wrote, and I said something about SEO optimized messaging. And the SEO specialist on our team, she says, well, that's redundant. And I said, I know. And I said, and I'm a professional copywriter. And she's like, so why are we having this? And I said, because you know that the O in SEO means optimization, right? Optimized. And then I'm repeating that optimization, optimized word. He said, you know that, and I know that. But we have to think in the minds of the people who are going out to Google, Bing, and Yahoo, who are doing the search. If they're a small business owner and they don't know what SEO fully means, they're just going to type in, I'm looking for somebody who specializes in SEO optimization.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, because we have to speak. We have to have the keywords that are in the minds of how our targets are talking. So, same example, we have a client who manufactures pumps. We're doing a search campaign for them. The pump is called a positive displacement pump, for short, PDP. The sales team goes, why are we having a PDP pump as one of our keywords? And PDP pump is what your target audience is typing in and calling it.
Yep.
So even though we know that P means pump, right? That O means optimized, you still have to speak in the way that the target audience is. So we have to burst out of our bubble, right, that we live in as experts, which we don't do often enough. And we
Hmm.
really need to come back and step back and look at it from every angle. every lens of who we are truly trying to target and speak to them in a language that resonates with them, not your jargon.
Absolutely. You gotta get rid of the buzzwords. I think because buzzwords don't make sense. It makes sense to experts in the experts bubble, but for everybody else that's searching and seeking, they just hear the key word. They don't even know what it means
Mhm.
oftentimes, right? They
Nope.
just hear SEO. They don't even put together that it means search engine optimization. I would guess, would you think it's similar to like I've heard and I'm not a copywriter by any means, but I always hear that you want to write at like a fourth or fifth grade level. And it's not that you're like looking down upon your readers. It's that people are very busy and they just want to make sense of things and it needs to be simple. And I feel like you're simplifying the keyword searches and the connections when you make it as clear and obvious as possible. Is that kind of, you say it's kind of similar to that,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have worked in everything from healthcare marketing, where I had to write patient education pieces, right? That had to be at that sixth grade level. We have some clients who are very highly technical manufacturers. Even the content that we're trying to write for their websites tends to be about a ninth grade reading level we're trying to go at. But again, with everybody so quickly scrolling through, we can't use these huge words and I mean, and there is a lot of different thought on that because it's, how deep does your content go? Does your social post, is it just, 2 quick sentences? Should it be 2 paragraphs? I mean, it really all depends. I don't think that you can just have a broad brushstroke recommendation. Again, this is where it's really important to know what your message is and know what messages are resonating with your target audience. So, right? So we just talked about like repurposing messages. A/B testing, I can't stress it enough. Take a social media post and do a long form version, a short form version, right? And just test the content. Use the same graphic. See what kind of engagement you're getting. Then go back, look at those analytics, and then keep the content the exact same, long form, short form, but just do some one variable difference in the graphic and see which one resonates better, right? Then you're starting to build and trying to figure which one is going to be your control and which one you're going to test and you're going to continue to test against and test against and test against. This is how we became so successful at Reader's Digest. We were repurposing the same recipes. We were just packaging them differently because we kept testing how are you going to beat the control.
Yep. That's
The,
amazing.
the marketing practices of years ago are still relevant today.
Yep, absolutely. It still always comes back to rooting it in data and understanding is always the best approach, but that is becoming even more true today, especially across like Facebook and Instagram ads. We buy a lot of Facebook and Instagram ads for our clients. They're still one of the top ad platforms and ad channels where people spend the most time on. And the way we used to buy and manage ads has completely changed to where it is now, a lot because of the AI algorithms have gotten significantly better. Whereas before, we used to do a lot of manual split tests on different audiences. So it was a lot of audience testing or different placements or different variables from a targeting perspective. But now the algorithms are so good at targeting the audience that it's less about audience targeting and really just about creative optimization. Is that you test so many different creatives and you can realize that different audience groups resonate with different ads and will buy or get leads or you'll just reach different groups of people. So it's really more of creative is the leading for who the ads are served to, which is completely flipped. Whereas like we used to try to control for that. Now we're just letting it go open and the creatives determining which ads resonate with people because they can test it so many times with different types of audiences and then that pulls through different people, which is really interesting to think about. If you ran 10 different ads, you can pull a different percentage of the population through with different ads that you're targeting, all because they resonate differently with different people.
And so I just cannot stress that resonation component to it so much. And then also ask people, right? You have your followers. It's a focus group of however many.
Mhm.
Throw out a poll, right? Get them to engage with you. One of the things about social media that we talk about to our clients is Social media is supposed to be that social. It is not just show up and throw up and expect everybody to love you and want to stop and read everything. You want them to like, to share, to comment, to right? And you do it back to them and just develop this relationship. I keep going back to all about developing relationships. It's not always about the quantity, but the quality of the posts that you're putting out there and the quality of the followers you have back and the relationships you're building with them. Yeah, haters are gonna hate. There are trolls. We
Yeah,
know that.
always.
Fine. Bless you. Have a good day. Right? Whatever. But when you really have those brand enthusiasts, those loyalists, that's the word of mouth. You want that third party user generated content. You want them to be sharing because they know, like, and trust you so much that they're willing to put their reputations behind you. And that's the best endorsement you can get. So for those out there who are listening again, don't just go out there and shove your content down people's faces and, in their feeds. Go out there, engage with them, follow people back, comment back, even if it's little just claps or hand hearts, just a little something to show something. And that my story about that is there used to be a show called Drunk History.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
watching it
I remember
one night.
that.
Yeah, right. Loved that show. And Tiffany Haddish was on one of the episodes, and I was laying in bed and I snapped a photo of it and put it on my Instagram about how I was watching Drunk History and Tiffany Haddish was on, and I was laughing so hard, and she liked it.
Nice.
And it
Yep.
was like, it, right? That was years ago, and here I'm still telling that story because she was social, she engaged. She's probably never going to listen to this podcast, but right, I still loved your episode, Tiffany. You're hilarious. So my encouragement to people is don't just have a social presence, actually be social.
Yeah. It's just having a two-way communication, right? It's like you gotta give back. You can't just force your message out on everybody and then not re-engage. I think that's 100% right. And I think a transition I'm seeing is that people are going to more community-based platforms. So less just of like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok are becoming really of like legacy networks, whereas like that's for your like mass broadcast. But what's really interesting is the community groups that are happening underneath it. The creators are doing Patreon, and then there's other like community groups like Circle or School or Mastermind where you can create a specialized community specific to your niche or whatever product or whatever industry you're in and have two-way dialogue and really like build an actual community of a group of people around your product or service, which I think is going to continue to grow and be a new way that brands are really going to build, um, over the years instead of just trying to build social media followings because it's just that tighter community and communication that you can have.
I agree. And we don't have any clients who are in those spaces yet, but it's definitely something that we see on the horizon, and it's only a matter of time before some client of ours wants to take the plunge and, jump in and do it. And just like any platform that's new, right? You got to see where it goes and where it grows, and you just don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah. Just looking ahead over the next kind of 2 to 3 years, what are you excited about? What keeps you motivated and engaged in the agency?
So over the next 2 or 3 years, my personal excitement with the agency is I am on this path with my team to continue to grow and elevate them. I want Green Onion Creative in the next 3 to 5 years to become more leadership driven, and the team that I have in place are the people that have the vision that they want to be here in that 3, 5, 10-year mark from now. We're not an agency that if you're looking for something for 6 months as you're transitioning through, yeah, we might have like a freelance project for you to jump in on and help, but that's not really what we're looking for in the types of people that we're working with. Um, I'm really proud of the longevity that we have with our subcontractors and with our employees. We have years behind them and helping them grow on career paths that are important and provide value to them. Because again, if I can empower, encourage, and energize you as an employee of Green Onion Creative, as a subcontractor of Green Onion, you're getting everything you need. Why would you want to go anywhere else? And so again, for me personally, as the leader of the organization, I'm super excited about where we're going and growing from our team perspective, which then just makes us attract even stronger clients, throughout the Milwaukee area and worldwide. And so that we can all grow greatness together. And then for me personally, I would love to see it get to the point where I can slowly start to peel myself away from the onion. Not that I'm leaving the business, closing the business, selling the business, but I want to know that I have strengthened my team so much. I have given them the courage, the confidence, the trust that I don't need to be here every single day so that I can use my talents and my passions to maybe help other projects, nonprofits, and sit on boards and do more for just the greater good while knowing that my agency is still doing good work by good people at good prices for other good companies.
Amazing. I love that. I think it's a real true form of a leader is that can you bring people along to do the big projects and handle those and have the trust in that, which is exactly what you're doing. I love to ask if you could tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would that have been?
Well, if I didn't get into advertising, this is my one piece of advice. I wish on career day in high school, somebody would have told me about the post office because I was like living here in Wisconsin as I'm looking at all the snow outside. Wouldn't it be wonderful, James, to be in San Diego where you are, where I was like, where you could be a postal worker? They give you a uniform. It's sunny all day long. The weather's nice. You can walk around, get your exercise in. You get paid holidays off. So my advice to myself is don't overlook being a postal worker in San Diego. Life isn't for you. But ultimately, no matter what field you're in, no matter what age you are at, I strongly encourage each and every one of you to look at yourself, love yourself. Self-care is so important. Make time for yourself, discover what your passions are, what your identity is. You are not just a mother, you're not a daughter. That's who you are to other people, right? You're not a son, you're not an agent. That's the outside perspective of who you are to others. You have to think about who you are to yourself. I start every single day with a daily affirmation card and I sit and think about that. I journal at night. I have two journals, one about feelings, one about gratitude. Say your prayers, give back, get outside of the bubble and like take a look at yourself. And I promise you, when you love yourself and invest in yourself through coaching, through books, podcasts, whatever, there's nothing more valuable than you. And so make sure that you're giving you all the love and attention that you deserve because you do deserve it.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. How can people connect with you? How can people work with you? You could share kind of all your details.
Yeah. So here's the laundry list. You can start off by going to our website, greenonioncreative.com. If you click on the contact tab, I believe that pulls up my Calendly for you. So you can choose your own adventure. Do you want to work with Green Onion? Do you want to talk about AMA? Do you want to have a podcast episode? Right? There's a couple of different options for you to connect with me there. You can always email me directly at Michele, Michele. I have one L in my name. So Michele at greenonioncreative.com. You can email me directly. Just put in the subject line that you heard me on James's podcast, just so I know that you're not spam. Otherwise, you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. And my LinkedIn is Michele, Michele, last name Tonkovitz, Tonkov as in Victor, Itz as in zebra. And of course, you can follow Green Onion Creative on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Connect with us there. We'd just love to have you a part of our communities.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Goodbye.
Bye bye.